Hello and welcome on board. It's my great pleasure today to very warmly welcome Tobias Lepper from Lepper Marine in Bochum in Germany.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. It's my pleasure as well.
Thanks for coming, super.
Yeah.
And we both want to show you the new navigation system we have installed here on board, because we changed from the 10-year-old Marine system to a BNG system, and that's what we want to show you. I think we both met first time on the exhibition, the boat in Düsseldorf.
Right, the boat show in Düsseldorf in January, yeah?
Yeah.
And we know each other from internet, Facebook and
Yeah,
co
that's
since last year.
Yes, so I think we made first contact via Facebook, and
Yeah.
you already watched some of my movies before.
Right, and then we get into contact.
Yeah.
And yeah, during the boat show in Düsseldorf, we then discussed first all the opportunities. And yeah.
Oh, that's right. So actually it was my intention just to get a new autopilot. Yes, you all now imagine, yes, Tobias is a great salesman, he's told me all the fancy stuff, but I know what I need and know what I want. So actually we put a package together just to enhance the existing Marine system with a new autopilot. I wanted radar because it's very important when you sail during the nights and want to see where the squalls are. So it was a prime reason for me that I wanted radar, and then also wanted remote control, because that is a good feature as well, also from a safety standpoint. We will talk about that later on. And then I think we had with a reasonable package together. And then I thought the disadvantage really is you're combining 10-year-old technology with new devices, and so I thought there might be some risks attached with that, because I mean interfaces might be not as good, and then also the old stuff is 10 years old, and then if something is failing there, then you need to exchange the next one. So I think it was a better decision to go for a completely new system.
I think the Marine system came to its end. And if you think of, for example, the navionics charts, they are getting bigger and bigger. They are including more information, sonar data, community edits, and often that is too much for old chart plotters. So yeah, that's the reason why we choose the new autopilot with a lot of nice autopilot controllers.
Yeah, we will talk about that later, but I wanted BNG because for the sailing and for those functions, I think it's a good system.
So BNG is, let me say, one brand in the Navico group. They own a lot of brands, for example Simrad, Lowrance, BNG, CMAP, and they are all, let me say, a little bit specialized in special water sports groups. So BNG is for the sailors, Simrad is more for the motor boaters, and the Lowrance is for the fishers, anglers, and CMAP. Everyone with a chart plotter can almost use CMAP. So with BNG, you are absolutely right, on a sailboat. And BNG is the formerly known Brooks and Gatehouse. And some years ago or decades ago, you only saw BNG on high performance races, Admiral's Cup, America's Cup, the Volvo Ocean Racers. They are all using BNG stuff. So
it was not a bad idea for me.
No.
Okay, very good. And then actually, so we had the package together, and then I asked Tobias, how do we get it installed? And you said, that will be done by you. I thought, how does he know my skill level? But I did it, and that's what we want to show you now. Let's have a look. Yeah, it all started in the winter, so actually in February. So I drove over with my partner Anke over one of the weekends. So the boat was on the hard stand. So first of all, we needed to change the transducers. So here we can see how the old depth sonar is getting out, just cleaning the holes a little bit with a knife. Yeah, that's how it looks from the outside, and that's the view from the inside. Here we can see how I put the first housing in, and here it's completed, and I put the ceiling plugs in because I didn't want to put the devices in. Yeah, ready. So then 2 months later I came with my sailing comrade Will, and we both had 3 days and wanted to install as much as possible. So here we can see all the parcels and packages, and with all the devices in, chart plotters and etc, etc, and that's what we want to get installed on board. So here's a look on the old Lepper Marine system, the chart plotter and the different devices here. So here it's already removed. Yeah, and then we start cutting holes and cutting the right shape that it can take the plotter. Yeah, and here it's already done. Probably you, Tobias, want to explain what we put on?
Yeah, let me see. We've got Zeus 7-inch plotter in the upper section, and below Triton multifunctional instrument, as well as the Triton pilot controller. So everything you need for navigation and instrumentation in the cockpit at helm station there.
Okay. Yeah, then we started putting a Zeus 12-inch plotter in as well, so we cut it out and we put that in as well. So then we started putting in the rudder reference sensor.
That's right, it's a RF25 rudder reference sensor, so N2K device. And as you can see, it is always hard work. It is very time consuming, and you learned that lesson. Yeah, it often takes a lot of time because it never fits with the positions, or even here with the older Lepper Marine systems. So you need to drill holes. You need to cut the threads into and all that things, but at the end everything
looked right. Yeah. So yeah, here we can see it how it works. So you think it was good?
You can see the result. No, yeah. I mean, you can test it, of course, with manual steering, heart to heart, first of all. And I checked it this morning, and we will see the results and the data within the setup process of the rudder reference, as well as the autopilot system. But mechanically seen, it is well done.
Okay, excellent. Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, and then next day, so that's a typical view into our salon. So all the boxes there, which we didn't need it so far, all the tools there. It looks a little bit chaotic, but we always kept in good moods. So for that day the plan was putting up the wind sensor at the top of the mast.
Right, the masthead unit for the wind. Yeah, first of all removing the old one.
Yes, absolutely, that was the first one. So, and actually we spent the whole day doing that. So up there I was the guy volunteering, getting up into 40 meters height. Then you have a line going down, getting some further tools up, or some of the parts you need up there. We were a little bit lucky with the weather, so it was not raining. What I'm doing here is I'm using the little driller and getting out the old device. Then we needed the cable down there, yeah. And what we did, first of all, we drilled that hole, and then we used a little line and put a few washers on.
Yeah.
And then we hoped that gravity would do the job, which it did actually. So it's always a little advantage having a jacket on, because you can place a few things under the jacket as well. Because on one end you try to hold yourself, and you have only one hand available in some situations there. And that's how it looks. So actually what we can see in the back there is the old sensor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually it worked. So we got it down there, which is the first step. So, and then I had really some trouble getting the mounting plate on for the new sensor. Obviously the holes are different in different positions, and I could use one hole for one screw.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it was really a mess, and I had to drill holes and then get screws in with a washer, and always I missed the third hand because you need usually two hands, and with one hand I was holding myself. So we used the whole afternoon to complete that job, and I think I spent 3.5 to 4 hours up there on top of the mast. Yes, it's shaking a little bit, but you don't realize after a certain time, you don't realize, you just focus on the job to get it done. So we're quite happy when we had that finalized at the end of that day. Yeah, next day the plan was installing the radar. So what we did was reading all the manuals and quick start guidance in the evenings and in the mornings, not making any mistakes there. So again, it was me going up. First of all, I'm drilling the holes for the rivets. It was not too bad, so they all worked, so no mistake.
Yeah.
It was good, it was easy.
Well, it's always challenging drilling holes in masts. So
yeah,
you have to be a little bit careful.
Absolutely. Then the big hole for the cable, and it's something you don't like so much, drilling big holes in your mast, but
yeah,
I think it's okay. Okay, I think the structure is strong enough.
Yeah, it's only one.
It's only one. Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, and then we put the mounting device on. That was good. So it was easy. And then putting the screws in and putting on the radar. Yeah, with a little safety rope there as well.
Very nice view.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's completed. Yeah, then the next little exercise is drilling a hole for the deck seal to get the cable down under deck. Always a bad feeling drilling a hole in your deck, but it's necessary, otherwise you don't get the cable down. So here's a deck seal device.
Yeah, the big advantage of these new types of deck seals, you can use the deck seals from Skanstrud as well as from other manufacturers. Big advantage is that you get several cables with their connectors through the deck seal.
Yeah. So then we started installing the cables under deck. So we removed all the little covers in the little cupboards, and then we were quite lucky getting it in this protection, what is it, hose, protection hose, or
yeah,
what do you call it in English?
Hose.
Protection hose, yeah. So Will was a lucky guy getting it in, quite knowledgeable in those things. It was really a good help. So we have already installed the other protection hose for the NMEA 2000 cable, and here we get the rudder cable in very smoothly. And here you can see it's getting out on the other side, and then we pulled it through. So here it's already done. So both cables go into the protection hoses, and then we got them down to the chart plotter, to the position where the chart plotter will sit down here. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the advantages of Jambo. You have good space. So here we put back the covers in the cupboards, and all cables are here. So actually we didn't cut them because we didn't want to have an additional interface over there. So we left them in one piece. So then I returned a few days later, and I wanted to put in the transducers, so the sensors for depth and also the forward scanner. Yeah. Exactly. So first of all, I prepared both devices. So this one is a little silicone seal grease, which I put on. That helps first of all to seal it even better on the O-ring, and secondly, it helps you getting it smoothly
into the sleeve.
Exactly, into the housing. So I prepared both. And then obviously getting the plug out. Always getting a little bit water in, but that's not a problem. So here we put the first one in. I put a little bilge pump in there. It's always a good opportunity to check if the automatic mode is working, and yeah, actually it works. Start pumping, and then I put in the second device. It's a forward scanner. After that was done, obviously the cable installation started. So also put in the protection hose here. So they worked quite well. There was enough space, and drilled another hole for one of the cables there. So then I put in, I think it was a sonar cable which I couldn't get through, so pulled that through.
Yeah,
could fetch it on the other side quite easily.
The forward scan.
Yeah.
Transducer.
Exactly, yeah. Here we can see it's already installed, and also the start of the backbone.
Right, yeah, that is the first point of the backbone in the boat, where it starts. We've got two devices there in the front cabin. It is on the one hand this transducer, the DST-800, as well as there is also installed the Precision 9. It is the
compass, yeah.
a heading sensor, yeah.
So the next day I started installing the cables from the rear, going through this storing area, because we had good access through the holes where the hoses are to the black water tank. It was quite handy. So here we can see the protection hose coming up, and we had the first cables already in. So it's very important that they are well mounted to the boat, because we want to prevent that there's any conflict with the chain from the rudder. Here pulling it further through.
Very classic way from the aft section, storing toilet or bathroom,
yeah, absolutely.
And then navigation.
Then coming up here, yeah. As I said, it worked really well.
Yeah.
So then we put a little wire through, which we use to pull through the cables here, the power cables, and also the NMEA 2000 cable, the network cable.
Right, you can see the NEMA 2000 cable, as well as the two power supply cables for all the devices in the cockpit helm station.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, the Bluetooth station that is mounted there, as well as the rudder reference, these devices get their power supply through the N2K network. No?
Okay.
This power supply in this safety tube is only for the chart plotter.
Yeah, then it's done. So we can see the cables there coming out of the protection hose, and then what I did, I put a little piece of wood over there. So you glue it on, and then you can easily mount the T-pieces there, and can complete your backbone. Yeah, that's how it looks. Well, that was a good day. Yeah, that's how it looks at the helm station. So already prepared for the 3 units with the T-pieces. So that's how it looks at the power control station or central power socket there, and so I connected it with the power at the panel there. And then next day I put in the computer for the navigation system, and also the device for the radar, and also power connections there. So also here same logic, put pieces of wood in and then screw them on the pieces of wood.
Yeah, you can see the radar interface on the RE10 radar interface that connects directly to the white cable that is coming from the red dome radar.
Yeah, what we see here looks really great. All the necessary cables are here. It looks a little bit chaotic, but I think we both know what it all is. So
I like
it looks great.
I like that.
Yeah, and then we came yesterday, and we did a few little changes this morning. Put the WeatherDock TRX2 into the system, so I put another T device in to get that connected.
Right.
All right. And now what I would suggest is we have a look now on the 12-inch chart plotter.
Yes.
And then go through the devices.
Yeah.
And,
we take advantage of the device list on the chart plotter to see which units we've mounted here, installed, which is running.
Alright, let's have a look. Yeah, Tobias, now we have a look on the chart plotter, and And all the devices included?
Yes, we wanted to look first to all the devices, and the easiest way to find the devices which are installed aboard is the settings page, and then of course the network, and there the device list.
Okay.
And here in the device list we can now see all the N2K devices that are connected within our board network here. First of all, it is the BT1, that is the Bluetooth base station that is corresponding with this wireless Autopilot controller. That was one of your first choices, yeah.
Yeah, actually it was my idea to get a remote control for the Autopilot because first of all I like the convenience when I'm sailing single-handed and down here and do my interval sleeping, getting up every 30 minutes, and I thought it's easier doing it via remote control, but on the other hand with all the functionality here on the chart plotter, I think I could have done it with it as well. On the other hand, I thought it might be a good safety device as well. When I'm getting overboard and have this remote control with me, I have always a chance to press the standby button and stop the boat, because the range is about 30 meters, 30 to 40 meters, so that means when the boat is traveling around 6 knots, I have 10 to 12 or 14 seconds time to stop the boat. So that was another reason for that, and I think it was a good choice.
So here on the second position is the DST 200. It is listed at DST 200, but commonly known as the DST 800. That is the classic transducer that is mounted here in forward section through hull, and gives us typical instrument information, depth, speed through the water, and the water temperature. Next one is a device that has been already installed on the boat. That is the WeatherDock EasyTRX. It is an AIS transceiver that we've got here.
Yeah, I can show it. It's installed down here. I think we've seen it before.
So the next one is the Autopilot Computer. It is a NEC 2 Autopilot,
which is located down here.
And as you can install or use several rudder feedback sensors within an NAC2 system, you've got either the rudder feedback directly connected to the NEC 2, or you've got the virtual rudder feedback. But in our constellation or in our network setup, we are here using the RF25 rudder feedback. So we can, let me say, ignore this rudder feedback from the NEC 2 as well as the virtual rudder feedback, of course. Next one is the Precision 9. That is the heading sensor with its ARS technology, with a lot of other sensors inside.
Yeah, I think that's key to get a good course.
Yeah. Then next is the RE10. That is the broadband radar interface that is also mounted.
Yeah, I can show it here. So it's sitting here. We've seen that before as well. Yeah, I put it down here.
And next is the Triton 2 instrument that is located at the helm station in the cockpit. And close to the Triton 2, it is the Triton 2 pilot controller for the autopilot, the keypad. The WS310 RE10 is our masthead unit for wind direction as well as wind speed, of course. It's all new. One came out last year, by the end of last year, from B&G, and WS310 is the cable version. You can have 320 as well, which is then working with Bluetooth wireless technology, very comparable with the Bluetooth technology here that the Autopilot remote uses, but we decided for a cable version here. Then next, that is also always very typical in device lists, of course, you have the device itself also listed here in this list with all its functionality. It is of course also some kind of pilot controller for the autopilot. It's coming with an integrated GPS, so we see all the functions that offers this Zeus 12-inch, as well as we now see, for example, here the Zeus 7-inch, which is located at the helm station in the cockpit. So this was just to give you a brief overview about the network and all the devices mounted here in the network, but you only saw all the N2K devices. We've got as well mounted directly connected transducer to this unit, the forward scan. That is a special forward-looking sonar, and we've also mounted here, that is not directly connected to this one, the radar. The radar cable went into the RE10 radar interface and is then coming via Ethernet into our system here.
And I think we can mirror that even on the iPad. Should we?
Yes,
have a look
of
at
course.
That? All right, 1 second. So Tobias, here's the iPad.
Yeah, wonderful. So first of all, you of course have to create a connection between these two devices. We did that before, but you can also check that. You go into the wireless settings on both devices, and then here you can see that this is already connected with the Zeus. So always check that first. Maybe you are connected with your iPhone as a hotspot or something like that. So you can only use the Link app. That is a Navico app. You can download that for all the iOS devices as well as for the Android ones. So you start the Link app, and you see
it failed to connect.
It failed.
Now we go on remote control, and now it should work.
Yes. And there it is.
Okay, here we are.
And it is not only just a mirror of the Zeus screen, it is also control functionality, of course. So
it's the same functionality, yes.
Yes, you can access almost everything that you can access here, of course, on the unit itself without the autopilot. The autopilot function is disabled here.
That's the only exception, of course, for safety reasons.
Yes,
that makes sense.
Exactly. But I think you've got lots of other
you're right,
autopilot control.
Plenty of options.
Yes, exactly. So that was, let me say, the remote thing was the iPad, and you can see it is absolutely synchron and very, very, very fast.
Oh, yeah, that's the wind.
A light delay. So here we've got the wind plot.
Speed.
Yeah, wind speed and wind
direction. Yes,
of course. And we can view that here over a time of 10 minutes.
10 minutes. It's
so that is the
very
history.
Exciting, very good.
Very, very useful, not only for regatta sailing, but also for harbor preparation. You can see the development of wind speed as well as wind direction, of course.
Perfect. Let's have a look on the next feature.
So really big advantage is of course always the possibility of the two options to control these devices. First of all, the touch screen with not only single touch functionality but also this multi-touch. And the other way around, if you are in rough seas and you have to stable yourself, you can of course use the keypads and control the device completely via keypads. So yeah, maybe we can look at some of the other functions. First of all, most important of course and most used is always the charting modus, and you can see here we have now all the AIS targets here, and yeah, you can decide whether you've put them onto your chart screen or not. AIS data sending is very popular here. So that is the chart screen, and we are using Navionics chart inside. It is a so-called Central West Europe chart, and you can see the overall coverage of this chart when we completely zoom out. And you can see that it starts here in the northeast, somewhere in the Baltic Sea, that is the border Germany, Poland, and then has got the North Sea as well as the Channel, Biscaya, Portugal, and here on the sea waterways we've got the Canary Islands as well as the Balearic Islands, and very important of course, all the inshore waterways in Central West Europe.
Oh, that's very good. That's what I need, because we are going down to the Canary Islands. That's great. Yeah.
So take Las Palmas. So you can see that there are detailed charts, of course. And if we now zoom in,
there's Marina Las Palmas.
You can also see here the
that's the tide over there. And that's the tide 1.3.
Nope, it's a light.
Okay.
So that is the data out of the chart.
Okay. Oh, very good. Now, of course, I can buy further charts.
Yes, of course.
Basically covers the whole world, I guess.
Yes. I mean, you've got two slots electricity.
Two slots. Okay.
Here. Yeah. The upper slot is now used by this Navionics, and you can of course use the other as well. And then you can here, if we are in chart, more options. And we can then here select chart sources as well as we can define other chart options here. So you can see everywhere where I'm, depending on what screen I'm in, I always get the corresponding menu. So if I'm here in the chart screen, which is now with an orange border, if I tap this or this, then I can make changes to this screen. Yeah. If I'm in this screen, which is now the instrument bar, for example, I can make changes to the instrument bar. So always look on the border if it is orange or not. If you don't like the instrument bar, you can slide it out. That is the instrument bar here. more space for any other screen.
Okay.
Screens also very interesting. For example, if you want to configure your own screen, quite easy. For example, we take in the chart, or maybe the sail steer, which is very useful for sailors, and yeah, maybe the wind plot, yeah.
Wind plot.
And I'll save that. And here we are. And we've got the instrument bar yet also here. So first of all, I take out the instrument bar. That makes the other things clearer. So we are now here. And now I can set the splits of the screen completely to my own demands. I take this functionality, adjust splits.
Okay.
And now I can slide this as I like to have the information, size, data. And now save.
Save,
and
yes.
you can see you've got now a bigger chart here.
Carry on, I'm just playing a little bit.
And here the same, depending on where you are. You can tap here, for example, and then you are in the wind plot, and you can adjust or make adjustments to the.
Great.
So, yeah, I think we should have a look onto the radar.
Oh yes, please.
Radar. We installed a broadband radar 4G. And that is where we stopped some minutes before. You can see here that is a classic radar view. It is a head-up view, and you can also see the AIS target devices around us here. And the radar is now and normally in complete standby.
Yeah.
So. No power consumption.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
And we will now switch it on, transmit, and you see it doesn't take long.
That's great.
And you get
it's absolutely amazing. It's
and
fast.
Yeah. So here you can see the absolute range. It is quarter nautical mile, yeah, and you can see the complete harbor here. We are in the Netherlands in Enkhuizen harbor, yeah, and here we've got the approach line from the IJsselmeer to the Markermeer, and the harbor as well.
Yeah, we see all the piers or pontons here.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's great.
So that is the entry of the harbor, and that is the first big slot. There is the filling station, and
the petrol station.
Yeah, the petrol station. Yeah. So.
Or fuel station. Yeah.
Really perfect view.
Oh, that's great.
And even that is quite interesting here. So I like that.
Yeah, this one is a Südersim museum.
Yeah. And we did not make any adjustments to the radar. So that is really the radar setup as it came out of the box. You can make adjustments, but in most cases it makes sense to leave it in auto mode. Yeah. You can switch the modes. Maybe you've got the harbor mode. Then it concentrates more on small distances. You can take the offshore mode and all the other ones, weather, bird, and there are lots of opportunities with broadband radar, and especially with the 4G radar. 4G radar also offers you the possibility for the dual mode, so either a close range mode as well as a long range mode, and lots of other features. So that is really an awesome radar. So we can now power off the radar.
Okay.
Radar is off. I mean, we still see all the AIS targets here. We had, yeah, of course, we've got the autopilot control mode. That is also awesome because yeah, quite easy to control the autopilot from here. You can see.
Yeah, I could hear it.
It's switched on. So that is cool.
Yeah, well, I can put it on standby.
Yes,
from
exactly.
Here.
From there. And you see that it is switched out. Instrument bar here as well. Either you would like to have it there, or you get it away.
Sounds good, Tobias.
Yeah, the next very interesting feature, of course, is the direct connected forward-looking sonar. It's a forward scan here. We can see here the development of the depth in front of the boat, looking in this direction now. But you should always consider that it is a forward-looking sonar with a almost 45-degree angle, and the most important point is of course the depth that is showed here. That is coming from the DST 800 transducer. You can check that here, data source, and it is the DST 200. So that is forward scan with the instrument bar, whether you like it or not. And home screen, next feature, one of my absolute favorites within BNG is a sail steer. Sail steer gets interesting if you got course running or a waypoint you're steering to. You get all the data here, the wind angles as well as the heading. Of course, we have to calibrate the heading tomorrow with our sea trials and sea setups, but I like that very much. All around the necessary data you can also, of course, define as you want it. So these are the main functions of this multifunctional display.
Excellent. Tobias, thanks a lot. I think now we have a look at the helm station and
yes,
have a look on the devices there.
So let's go out.
Yeah. Yeah, now we are going into the cockpit and have a look on the devices which are placed here. Oh, just starting to rain, so
yeah. So we have to hurry.
Keep it brief.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, the Zeus 7-inch model. It's the same functionality as we've got down at the chart table, and then here in the cockpit combined with these two devices is the Triton 2 instrument display, which can show you all data you've got in your N2K network. So here we've got the typical sail steer instrument screen. We could have the same one as well here on the Zeus, and corresponding to the Triton 2 instrument display, we've got here the Triton 2 autopilot controller, and if you put the autopilot in auto modus, the Triton switches in the autopilot screen. Yeah,
it works.
It works,
obviously.
And if you go into standby, you can, it automatically switches back into its instrument function. So, yeah, that is the helm station here in the cockpit. I think that looks great. Crisp displays and fully networked and ready to be tested on the water now.
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to that. We will do that tomorrow.
Of course.
And I'm really keen to see how it all works.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Perfect.
So, we check it out tomorrow. So we're getting ready to leave. and then we do all the calibration on the water. Yeah, let's see how it goes. So Tobias is just doing all the calibrations. So we have done all the calibration, everything looks fine, so the wind angle is correct, and the speed through the water is correct, so well, it looks quite good. So Tobias, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm quite confident with our work, and I think now we should enjoy the system on the water for some hours.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So we have half wind at the moment here. It's not much, so we are around 10 knots here. Yeah. So I set the angle here for the apparent wind on 90 degrees. Yeah, all fine. But obviously not the hardest conditions at the moment.
No. Smooth conditions.
Exactly.
So Martin, finally, your impression about the system.
Yeah, I think it's excellent. I'm really impressed by the system, by the functionalities. Obviously it's very complex, and you showed me a lot today, but a lot of good features. The autopilot runs very well. It has a self-learning function as well, but today it's just a gentle breeze and not that much challenged. So we'll check that out on the North Sea in much rougher conditions, but really great system. I'm really pleased. So back at the home port, everything worked out very well. So system is calibrated, installed. Top job, Tobias.
Thank you.
Really good. And now we are looking forward to the cruises, and hopefully we can challenge the system in much harder conditions. So we will see. Tobias, thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you.
Excellent. It was great fun as well. See you.
Bye.
Bye.